Welcome back to the show. My next guest has his CD launch coming up on Friday, October the 21st. And here to give you a little taste of what you can expect of that is one of his wonderful songs from his latest CD. It is called The Great Fire of 1870. And we'll be back with Paul Weber right after this to discuss it with him.
I was playing in the gully with my little sister Mary when we heard church bells ringing on the summer breeze. Then my daddy came a-running. He said, son, there's a big fire coming. Then he put his hands on my shoulders and he said to me, you take yourselves down to the river, and in its water you hide, and I pray it will deliver you from the great fire. So take your sister to the landing, let there be an understanding. There's no time for explanations or goodbyes. I'm going back to the house now. I'll get some food and I'll grab the old sow. And as I turned to run, he said one last time, you take yourselves down to the river, and in its water you hide, and I pray it will deliver you from the great fire. I heard it was 10 miles wide, was nothing gonna stop it, and the winds blew high. I couldn't know what I'd run it with my father's words ringing in my ears as we ran down to the river with a fire on our heels.
That is The Great Fire of 1870, and Paul Weber joins me here in studio. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing well, Derek.
Wonderful to have you. I mean, a great starting point for us is let's talk about that song and the inspiration behind it.
Yeah, it was actually a friend of mine's dad, Terry Curry, who wrote a book about that fire. It just fascinated me, the story of this giant fire, because we've heard about the Parliament buildings burning down, we've heard these stories, but I'd never heard of a fire in 1870. It was actually the biggest fire we've ever seen in the Ottawa Valley, and it would have burned down Ottawa. In fact, it was coming towards Ottawa faster than people could run. They were jumping into wells, running into the water, and a bunch of mill workers came out and said, we're going to break the dam at Dow's Lake, flood what is today Preston Street, all the way to the Ottawa River, stopped the fire. The fire burned around Ottawa, went all the way up to Wakefield, but never touched Ottawa.
What an amazing story. And I think, you know, storytelling is a big part, obviously, of what you do as a songwriter. And tell me about the rest of this album, because I think there's a lot of other community stories on this album as well, isn't there?
Yeah. I wanted to write songs that kind of reflected the stories of our community, kind of like what you do.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a song about Vanier en français. Growing up in Vanier, what that was like for people in a certain era. It used to be called Eastview. I wrote a song about what it's like to live in a rooming house, which I used to work in rooming houses years ago.
Okay.
I wrote a song about a very famous bouncer, which is the name of the album, Ode to Gerry Barber. He used to be the guy that looked after the door at a club called the Chaudière.
Yeah, I know the name.
You've been around long enough for that?
I'm over 50, man. I know Gerry Barber. Yeah, I know the name.
So you know who Gerry Barber is. Song about the first train to come into Ottawa. I like to mix historical with current day, so I also felt like, okay, I work in the civil service. I'll write a song about mansplaining.
Right.
Guys who can't stop talking, basically. So I wrote a song about that, put it on the CD. And when I perform the songs, most of the songs I'm actually using video that I've made behind me. So there's a song about the Heron Road Bridge, for instance, and I've gathered images from the collapse of that bridge, 1966. And while we're playing the song, there's images being projected behind us. So you
What a
get the
great
story, you
idea.
get the video, you get the song. You don't have to look at me the whole time. It's ideal.
And who's performing with you at the CD
Well,
launch?
at this one, we have a fairly big gang of people. Usually
Nice.
it's a trio, so I have Christine Fagan singing with me and Rob Lethbridge on upright
Oh, I
bass.
know Rob.
Do you know
yeah.
Rob?
I
Okay.
used to do a murder mystery dinner theater
You're
with
kidding
Rob
me.
Rethbridge.
Well, it's a whole other interview.
No kidding. Yeah.
So I have those two with me, and I also have another singer, because the songs are about the stories. Wanted to bring in someone else to add some harmony. Camille Forget is also singing with us. And some local heavy hitters. We have Trevor Lubin, who's joining me on guitar. He plays in every band in Ottawa, as far as I can tell. And Matt Ashton, a drummer, who's joining us. A couple young guys. Nick Roy, who's going to play some trombone.
Okay.
We got a song about China Doll that we do, our local drag
I know,
queen.
oh, yeah.
I'm sure you know China Doll,
Yeah,
so he's playing on
absolutely.
that song. And we also have a young fellow named Bradley Odette, who's going to come and play the melodica, which is a little
is that?
keyboard, has a tube running out of it, and he blows into it while he's playing.
Really?
So he's going to be doing that and maybe some other instruments as well. So we'll have about 8 of us all told.
Very cool. You must be excited. I mean, every artist that I've spoken to has just talked about, being back live in person. What does that mean for yourself?
Yeah, for me, it's all about live performance and getting up in front of an audience, sharing the stories, and the stuff that's unscripted, that's unplanned. You
Right.
suddenly realize Gerry Barber's son is in the audience. This is really what happened to me.
Really?
At one point, yeah, Gerry Barber's son, whose name happens to be Gerry Barber,
Right.
was in the audience, and I had to sort of engage with this guy all of a sudden. Unexpectedly, things like that only happen in live
Yeah,
performance.
the interaction with the audience is a big part of it. Paul, I can't thank you enough for joining us. Really appreciate it, and congratulations on the new album. And I'll remind everybody at home again, the CD launch show is happening Friday, October the 21st. Doors open at 7:30 p.m. and at a wonderful venue. If you've never been to the Redbird Live, it is a must go for anyone that loves music. We'll be right back after this.